What's going on, guys? All right, so I got a bit of a story. Here's a little bit of story time for you. So when I was in CDL school, getting my CDL Class B, I was in school, and at this time, there's only like me and like two other people in the school getting our CDL Bs. Everybody else was getting their CDL A license. So one of the guys, he had started like a week earlier, and he was getting his CDL in manual. And the other guy who started with me, he was getting his CDL-B, but he was getting it in automatic transmission. So we get out there into the yard and everything, and I start talking to this guy who's getting his CDL-B in automatic, and he was telling me that he already had a job lined up and everything. And when it comes to CDL-B, you might notice that, yeah, there's a lot of people who get their CDL-B and they already have a job lined up, or their job is sending them to school to get their CDL-B. Like they might have been doing like labor, and then they want to move up, and so, or their job needs drivers. So they offer like, hey, if anybody wants to be a driver, we'll pay for you to go to CDL school and get you your CDL-B. So, and I think his situation was a little bit different. So, like, he wasn't like me where he didn't know anything about the trucking industry at all. But his situation was basically, he worked for a company and they drove box trucks. So, and he was a foreigner. He was a young guy, had a family and everything, and he was a foreigner. So he didn't speak English very well. But he spoke it where you can understand him, but sometimes you would have to like pause and like think about what he just said in order to like understand what he said. So he's telling me that the company that he's working for, the boss tells him one day, hey, you want to make some more money? You want to make a little bit more money? I need you to drive the trucks. So he starts driving the trucks. And then one day his father calls and he tells his father what he's doing. And he's driving trucks, and his father asks him, well, his father says to him, oh, you got your CDL? And he tells his father, no, I don't have my CDL. So his father tells him, then you need to stop driving the trucks, because if you don't have your CDL license, you can end up in a lot of trouble. Now, this young man's boss didn't tell him that he needed a CDL to drive the box truck that he was driving. And there are some box trucks where you don't need a CDL, but the ones that he was driving was the big long ones where you do need a CDL-B to drive them. So basically what his father was telling him was that if he gets into an accident or he gets pulled over by the police, everything is on him because he's operating the vehicle. And there's a good chance that his boss is probably going to throw him under the bus, or his boss could just easily say, oh, I never told him to drive that vehicle, or oh, he told me he had a CDL license. But everything basically would fall on this young man. So that's the reason why he was going to CDL school and getting his CDL-B. And he didn't want to do manual transmission. He wanted to do automatic because that's what the job had. The job had automatic trucks, so he felt as though there was no need for him to learn manual transmission. And a lot of CDL-B jobs nowadays are automatic transmission. So I think it's very few jobs. I mean, some jobs they'll have manual trucks, but they mainly use their automatic trucks. Now, this young man, he graduated before me, even though we started at the same time, but because he was automatic transmission, his course wasn't as long as mine, so he ended up graduating before I did. And I don't know if he went back to work for that company. Most likely he did, because like I said, he already had the job there. I know me personally, I wouldn't have gone back to that company. Like once I found out that they weren't telling me that I needed a CDL and that they were having me drive these trucks around without having the proper license. And, I don't know if he needed endorsements and all that, but he needed the license and he didn't have the proper license. And this company was just letting him drive around without the license. And sometimes that may happen too, where, you know, they were probably letting him drive the trucks around, not having a proper license, and they probably weren't even paying him to be a driver or giving him the driver's pay because he didn't have the license. They were probably, doing a get over move on him. And that's another thing I guess you got to watch out for in the trucking industry is people who will underpay you, you know, or try to not pay you what you're worth. Because I paid $3,200 to go to CDL school to get my CDLB. To get a CDLA, I believe, was $5,400. So I paid $3,200 to get my CDLB. And like I said in one of my other videos, first job I got was a box truck job, and they only wanted to pay me $16 an hour, and I thought that was ridiculous. But the way they explained it to me was that they were a union job, and that was kind of the way the union contract was set up. So I'm guessing that if they weren't union, they probably would have paid their guys more. But when the union gets involved, you know, in contracts and things like that, you know, the pay becomes what it is. There is one other time where I was working for a company that didn't pay me what I was worth, because mainly I see a lot of that. You got a certain certification, and you know, you're going out for a job, and the job kind of looks at your certification like, oh, this ain't nothing, you know, and they kind of treat you as if, you know, you didn't, you know, put in the investment in the work to get certified, to get educated. So the other field where I've seen this done at is the security field, because I got my Act 235, also called certified agent. Basically allows you to do armed security in Pennsylvania. So if you want to do armed security, like I don't know, like if you want to be like a guard in a bar or something like that, you know, you're working for like a contract company, they may require you to have Act 235. And there was one company that was requiring their guards to have an Act 235, but they were only paying the guards $13 an hour. And once again, I thought that was absolutely despicable, because in order to get an Act 235 in Pennsylvania, you got to pay close to like, I think you might have to pay close to like $650 to get like the whole process done. That's the fingerprinting, background checks, psych evaluations, physicals, and then you gotta go through a course and everything. And so it's we add everything all up together, it could be close to like $650 to do all of that. And then to get some of these jobs, you gotta have your own gun, your own holster, your own gun belt, your own body armor as well. So a lot of times you're paying like $650 to get the certification, and then after you get the certification, you might be paying like close to like probably another close to $1,000 just to get everything, so that you can go into doing armed security. And that's kind of what this job was. They wanted you to have your own gun, they wanted you to have your own holster, and it had to be a certain type of holster. You couldn't just bring, you know, whatever holster you bought off of Amazon or bought in the gun store that you know that you liked. They wanted you to have a specific type of holster. You had to have your own gun belt, and in some cases they wanted you to have your own vest. And you know, and a good vest is like $500 and up for like a good vest. And then they only wanted to pay you $13 an hour. And so, you know, that tends to happen. I mean, it's not just the trucking industry where that happens. That, you know, basically I'm talking about the security field, showing that it happens in other industries too, and that you have to be careful of that. But hopefully, you know, that guy got out of there, because I wouldn't want to work for a company that would do something like that, that would basically like have me, you know, basically putting me at risk like that. So that's my tale for the day. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Thank you.